I'd like to call this meeting of the select board to order on September 16, 2025 at 6 o'clock. First thing is additions and deletions from the agenda.
We want to add the Woodstock one liquor license for
That's up here.
yeah. Positive I believe.
Positive
Yeah.
pizza.
Pizza, yes.
First and third.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay. Citizens' comments.
Could I be first?
Well, you are now.
And of course, you don't mind writing your name down with that. William, do you wouldn't mind writing your name down on the sign sheet?
Well, my name is Butch Sutherland. And a year or so ago, we started talking, some friends of mine, and we started talking about bringing up the idea of a merger, which happened a few years ago and got defeated by a very small margin, sort of died. And so we brought the idea up. So I had some conversations with Eric about that, and maybe a couple of you on the board. And it was suggested that it would be better if it came from the public rather than coming from the boards. So the idea was to start some petitions. So we talked about the petitions, how they would be written, and then Eric called me and he said the petitions, and he'll explain this to you, I'm sure, at some point in time. But the petitions are not binding. That you can get, most petitions, if you're asking for money, you get so many petitions, people sign petitions, and it automatically, the boards have to put it on ballot. But it's open ending with the, I think I'm speaking correctly, with the merger, it's different. So it seemed like a lot of work to get these petitions rolling. And not only that, but for people to sign a petition and think that if they sign the petition, it's going to be put on the ballot, which it may not be. So I came to the trustees meeting last week, and I'm here today to ask you people if we can get the ball rolling, if we can start some discussion between the two boards and start talking about having a merger. We need to have some public hearings, I'm sure, to find out from the people what the good, the bad, and the ugly would be if we merged. There's a lot of information, there's a lot of questions that people are gonna have. What's it gonna be like? What's it gonna do? What's gonna happen? It passed, it failed by a very few votes last time, and I don't remember how many years ago that was. But it seems to me that it would make good business sense in today's economy to do that. We've merged the highway department, we've merged the police, the fire department. We're merged somewhat with the police department. We're almost there. So I'm asking the boards, both you and your trustees, to see if we can get some discussion going, some public discussion going, and see what kind of interest there is out there. First of all, what kind of interest is there
Really got a couple.
with the two boards? Okay,
Just
time's up.
Time's up.
Thank you. I think you understand what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say.
We do. Thank you, Butch.
Coach, if you want to wait till after citizens comments over, I can give more context on everything.
Excuse me?
If you want to wait till after citizens comments over, I can give more context to what you said.
Roger. Thanks,
Am I
Butch.
excused?
You're absolutely.
Roger Logan, Woodstock. I just want to second what Butch says, and thank Butch for his years and years and years of service to this community in many different roles. And I think when he speaks, we should listen to him. I think it's very important, obviously, that we find a way to do this that works with your time and the trustees' time and Eric's time. But I think Butch is right. It's time to open up the conversation.
Sorry, did you say your name?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Okay, sorry.
I didn't sign my name, but I'll do it back. No, you can't read my writing.
Do it now.
Doesn't matter.
Any other citizens' comments? See any?
Citizen comments is closed.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I wanted to elaborate a little bit on what, like, Butch said for clarity. I could have talked to Secretary of State's office, and basically they said it'll be a non-binding petition, which means that the board would not take any action on it. And regardless, the board will still have to have a vote after the fact anyway, so it will be non-binding. Which what I said last week, after you left the trustees meeting, is the select board and trustees are having a joint meeting on Monday, September 29th. To talk about goals and objectives. Last year, the merger came up. I would not be surprised if that comes up again in that meeting. So if you want to attend, or anyone else wants to attend and speak for or against that, that would be a good time to do it. So it'll be on the agenda, so it'll be a good time to look on it.
It will be on the agenda.
We're talking about goals and objectives, so it probably will come up. Let's say it.
Would that be a time for more citizens' comments to say it again? Or
Sure. Yeah. Managers report.
Yes, first, so Trina Culver and the Housing Working Group has kind of finished up their work for us on the housing front as we transition over to a new economic development director. So I just want to take a moment to thank them for all the work they've done over the years, trying to help us solve the housing crisis and Woodstock and the neighboring communities. They did a lot of good work. And I think we'll be able to love what they did moving forward. So I want to thank them for all their work for us. With that, Abby Sherman started last week for us as a new economic development director. She comes to us via Killington, Bethel, and the States. Very well regarded throughout the States. She's been announced for, I think, a week and a half so far. Good signs. I'll get into it a bit. I just spent a few days with her at a conference. We're really excited to have her. We're trying to move her in slowly, not overwhelm her with everyone. So we're kind of having a few meetings with different people as she kind of gets a grasp on what Woodstock is and how she can dig in and help us going forward. I just want to welcome her aboard, hopefully for everyone. As I mentioned, myself, Robert Densmore, and Abby attended the New England GFOA conference in JP for the last few days. The conference is still going on. I left to come back here for this meeting. For those who aren't aware, the GFOA is kind of the international or American government finance organization. They give out budget awards each year and really try to set the guidelines for what municipal finance should be going forward. Abby Sherman was the president of the New England Charter. So it was her conference, but she put on the whole conference herself with her committee. Did an excellent job. I had 2 good days there. Robert and her have 2 more good days. They'll come back with some great ideas for us. And also Robert and I both got scholarship. So the cost to the taxpayers will be very minimal for all of us attending. So that was good. Foliage is right around the corner. So the trustees have a working hard to get some vendors on the green, after trash cans around Woodstock, and really kind of prep for all the visitors we have. I was on the phone with C late earlier today. I think that One America is going to do a story, so we'll probably see another increase in tourists coming through based on all that news. So hopefully that goes well for us as well. The board has the financial report for the first few months of this fiscal year. If you look, we have spent about 15% of the budget, with about 20% of the year gone. So far, pretty good track record. That does not include some of the bigger transfers like the peace contract and other things that will be transferred out. And if you see, we have run in, I think, $29 million, $29 million in taxes, that we build out. We're telling everyone is obviously about, 72% of that money, goes to the state for education tax, the rest stays here. So large times that will go away, to state for education. Those we build up so far this year. Finally, as I mentioned earlier, the Butch, we're tentatively, hopefully have a joint meeting on the 29th, where both boards will sit down and go over the goals and objectives set last year, see where we're at with them, and then talk about setting new goals and objectives for this coming year. So as we go into the budget cycle, we can kind of work off those goals and objectives and make sure the budget represents those goals. So I encourage anyone who has vested interest in Woodstock to come to that meeting and advocate for where you want to see the town and village go moving forward. That's all I have.
We have the time for that meeting.
5:30.
5:30,
5:30.
right? 5:30.
Yes.
Okay. Somebody asked me about trash cans at the cemetery were gone, and I think one other place, I forget where.
Park.
Talking about.
So we had issues with bear attacks coming down and eating all the food. And so we took the trash away, hopefully, because what people do, either visitors or potentially residents, put the trash in those recycle bins. There's food in there, and the bears come down, they attack food, you know, to open it up. So we tried this to see if this would be a short-term solution there and
Okay.
stop, you know, those are there still away. Or
That's what I thought, but. At least I asked. Anything else? Okay, next up, Woodstock State Delegation.
Yes, we have a few people here. If you guys want to come up, where you want us?
You can sit up,
Corner?
Yeah.
Works. So I think the board, invited, I say delegation, I think maybe last November, December, before the legislative session started. We thought they get stuff back, cover what they did, maybe the goals for next year, and let the board, kind of ask them a question and see where we're at. So I don't know if I want to do a few minutes each for each representative.
Yeah.
Take them one go first.
Sure, great. It's Charlie Kimball. I'm the state rep representing Reading, Woodstock, and Plymouth. So, when we met last year, we were just heading in and we talked about how we were going to pay attention to education, and education reform. And so we passed a massive bill last year, H 454 became Act 73. And in this legislative session, we're going to be following up on a lot of those different initiatives, just to name a few. And I want to thank you for calling this meeting because it forced me to actually think about all the things that are on the follow-up agenda. So there's currently meeting, as you probably know, a school district redistricting task force, which is supposed to make recommendations as to what new school districts should look like. The governor recommended 5 to go from 119 down to 5, and they'll probably end up somewhere between 10 and 20. But they're in the process of analyzing data and then coming up with some recommendations. The state aid for school construction was included in that, was setting up a task force to figure out how to allocate state aid. There is no funding source in there, but it is in the bill as a way to provide a way for the state to provide aid back to the schools for new construction and renovation. And also setting up a school construction division in the Agency of Education, which is supposed to be set up in 2026. Setting the foundation formula is totally changing how education is going to be paid for. Rather than deciding on a local budget and then sending that to the state, it would be the state that's determining what a school budget should be based on the characteristics of the students. Who is an English language learner, who is coming from economic stress, and who are normal students, what the rural factor is, all of those things. So it's a sea change in how education is paid for. Still financed by the existing sources. That hasn't changed in terms of the property tax is about 6% of the education spending. And then we have the sales and use tax, the lottery proceeds, purchase and use, rooms and meals, all sorts of stuff going on. Also to establish a separate tax for primary residents compared to second homes. That is in the bill as well, to charge the state Department of Taxes to come up with a system to be able to administer. So that's happening in the next year or two in order to be able to do that. That is not something that can be turned on that quickly, but that's set up for, I think, 2029. Implementing a new homestead property exemption instead of the existing property transfer credit or property tax credit, yeah, for primary residents where they get, where people who have a primary residence get a credit towards their homestead property tax bill, depending on their income. So this is, again, another sea change. So there's a lot of these things that are changing in the midst of it. Establishing regional appraisal districts. We had talked a little bit about with your staff before about listers versus assessors, and you had voted during the session or to go to assessors instead of a lister. And it's to set up 12 regional assessment districts across the state instead of 251. So that's a big change, and that's also for January. And then setting the yield and education budget is going to be particularly tricky this year because we used about 120 million in one-time funds to buy down the property tax rate to keep the taxes average increase about 1%. So hopefully we'll have that kind of surplus in the education fund. Don't know yet. I'll only go a couple other things and then we can open up. But a couple things. One is we did change the retention or the municipal share of the local options tax last year. It was 70%. It was changed to 75%. So lowering the tax share that the state would get. And that is, we have to review it again, not to change it, but to make sure that the pilot program, which is payment in lieu of taxes for all those communities that have state property in their towns, the pilot fund is adequately funded to pay those taxes to those communities. There was also $1 million taken out of that or committed to pay for what's called the grand list stabilization program for those communities that lost part of their grand list because of FEMA purchases of properties that took those properties off the grand list. So there are a lot of properties throughout the state, Barry is a great example, that lost maybe 40 grand list properties because of FEMA buyouts or an agreement of the state to buy out those properties. So it's taking them off the grand list. So it's a 10-year program, 5 years, 100%, and 5 years at 50% of whatever their property tax bill is. But we have to make sure there's enough money coming into the pilot program to fund that. And there was a $13 million surplus, and it's taking some of that money out. So that's a broad thing. So those are some of the things we're going to be looking at again in terms of what's up. And I've got a whole sheet, and we could go on for a long time. But those are some of the highlights. Still a lot of work to do on education finance reform and education reform.
And there are a bunch of off ramps too. So and I think you were gonna chat.
Yeah, and
about education. You want to tag on to what Charlie?
Yeah, and Charlie did a great job, basically. And who am I? That's a good idea. I'm Senator Joe Major. I'm representing Windsor County, obviously. One of the things that Charlie highlighted is the committee that has been put together, 11 people, 6 legislators, and 5 people who are either district or education experts. One from Windsor County legislator is Rebecca Hochul, who was a former Secretary of Education. I feel really good that we have her on that committee. Some of the things that Charlie didn't touch on was when these districts come together, they will be between 4,000 and 8,000. He talked about sea change, and it will be a sea change from what we are used to. We'll have 3 different proposals of what kind of districts they are. At no point now will you have municipalities control the budget for a particular school district. I know that there are a lot of municipalities that are very upset about that. And I can absolutely understand that. The local control is taken away from you, and you almost feel like you don't have control of what you're having to spend. The balance that the legislature is having to come up with is affordability for property tax owners and not lowering the standard that we have for our students. There have been rumors of what districts will look like. I know here in Woodstock, there has been a rumor that it'll be Hartford, Windsor, and Woodstock. That may be it. You may have also heard that they'll go by county. Things that will have to be thought about is transportation. If you go by county, then you have Springfield, which is in the southern part of our county. You have Windsor, Woodstock, which is in the upper part of the county, and Hartford and Windsor are in the middle. And how is the transportation going to work? There are a lot of things, and as Senator Clarkson said, there are a lot of off ramps. This is going to be somewhat messy, but it is something that has to be done to make sure that we can control costs going forward. The one thing that, and full disclosure, I did not vote in favor of this particular bill. I thought it was right. I thought that there were things that weren't addressed, but this is where we're at. And so I, Senator Clarkson, and Representative Kimball are going to do our best to make the Senator
And
White.
Joe, I'll do my best too.
There she is.
You're behind us, so we can't see you.
Yeah.
I know, I see you. I'm like above you. But yes, and I voted no too as well, Joe. And I'm happy to talk when the time is right. But I'm here.
And so, as Senator Clarkson said, there are a lot of off ramps. There are a lot of unknowns. How are districts going to vote? All of a sudden, so those types of things will have to be determined as well. So, but this is, probably the biggest thing that we have undertaken in decades in Vermont. And so I'm enthusiastic about getting to it and making sure that we make the state affordable for everyone.
Allison Clarkson and Becca, I think you have a time frame. This is the three of us, Becca White and myself and Joe represent the Windsor district in the Senate. Becca, I know you have a time frame. Do you want to go next and talk about?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to go next. Yeah, if that works. And I apologize well, first of all, thank you for accommodating me for being on Zoom. I'm taking a vacation with my parents-in-law, who are visiting York, Maine. So thank you for accommodating me so I can visit them. And I'm not sure what your opening question was to us as legislators. It sounds like it was highlights from the legislative session and perhaps what we're moving forward with next year. If I'm wrong on that, maybe someone can like wave or tell me I'm wrong. But I think the place that I can start is the two committees that I serve on. So I serve on Senate Transportation in the morning and Senate Government Operations in the afternoon. Allison and I also serve on government operations, so I might leave it to her to speak a little bit to anything we did in that committee. But for transportation, the big highlights you need to know from last session. The first is that we are in a new federal climate when it comes to funding of transportation. And that unfortunately will trickle down into all aspects of building and paying for bridges, roads, maintenance, culvert replacement, a shim and an overlay. I mean, every possible construction project in our state will potentially be impacted by the changing amount of money that we get from the federal government. And it's a little unclear right now what that picture will look like. because we have not had the passage of a very important federal bill that funds a lot of those projects. But we already know that the federal government has clawed back significant money that we had expected to receive in the transportation fund in Vermont. And some of that's come back again. We're getting, it's like they took all of it away and we're getting little bits. So it's not clear. But we know from last session that even if we were to receive the same amount of federal money, we don't expect we will receive more. Even if we got the same amount of federal money, there's still a delta between our maintenance costs and the work that we need to do and how much revenue we're getting from the gas tax primarily. So we have a growing delta between the cost and expected maintenance and quality of our transportation infrastructure and the amount of money that we're receiving to pay for that. There's many theories and hypotheticals about why that gas revenue is going down. Data seems to indicate that it is folks switching from really heavy gas trucks to efficient gas trucks. That's our main culprit. So if you got a Toyota 4x4 from like an F-150, well, you're the culprit. But that is just happening naturally. That gas tax revenue is going down. So we either need to increase revenue, find a new revenue source, or decrease the amount of funding that we are providing towards those essential transportation things. And that will impact you as a municipality, as I can only expect it already does with the limited amount that we offer per road mile, depending on the type of road that you have, so on and so forth. So really open to a conversation with you as a town as things progress and where you have barriers when it comes to transportation funding or projects as well. So want to put that out there. And I'm happy to talk legal trails as well if you have any legal trail related questions, because I know Woodstock and your mountain bike association were very active in that conversation this year. So thank you for listening to me and accommodating my travels.
Becca, you were also gonna just talk about healthcare briefly because of the reference-based pricing piece.
Say that one more time, Allison.
Healthcare.
Oh yeah, I can talk about healthcare. Yeah. So I would say, in spite of ourselves as your state legislators being so wrapped up in education, somehow we also happen to pass some great stuff on healthcare. While healthcare costs are obviously increasing and also coverage is not seeming to get better, if anything, it's getting worse. We are at a crisis point as a state, and there were some changes that we made to the regulatory authority of bodies that oversee healthcare and healthcare costs, essentially. And we're already starting to see the fruits of that labor, I think, with decisions around regulating our highest cost hospitals, for example. So we did some work in that regard. Nothing landmark on that front, but we also did something very landmark, which is we are moving forward with a concept called reference-based pricing, which means that we tie the costs that we start our negotiation at with the service providers, the hospitals. We have the same reference as Medicare. So we will move towards that type of negotiating starting line. The idea being, at least this is how I think about it, the idea being, okay, if you can do a surgery for $2,000 for someone on Medicare, why are you charging someone else who's a Vermont state employee $6,000 for that same surgery? Why that delta? So trying to avoid the cost shifting and really lowering that pressure of service cost increase in the healthcare
Yeah.
system.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a long-winded way of saying that one issue healthcare was certainly done. I can talk community nurses at some point if folks have I know there's a community nurse program locally too. We didn't get much traction on that bill. I know many residents of Woodstock were interested in that, but it just didn't. That topic just did not get over the finish line this session, and we'll be working on it next year. Thanks, Allison.
The care coordinator with Carla Camel, and sadly, the Mount Scottney and Ottauquechee Health Foundation didn't continue to fund her, but she is now embedded at the Thompson Senior Center, which is really a great gift for this community because she ties together all the agencies. She has knowledge, she is a one-stop shop for people with multiple and different kinds of needs. I'm Allison Clarkson, I'm another senator, and I would just say, because Becca brought up money, and money is such a key piece of what you deal with and what we deal with. I mean, that's really our fundamental job, is to pass our budget. A third of our state budget, as you know, or may not know, is federal money. So we are actually anxiously waiting, understanding better what the intended federal choices are going to be and what their financial impact is going to be on all of us. And that is, I think, one of the things I am hoping that this fall will be able to be pulled together as a legislature to actually get a better update on how what some of those impacts are going to be, so that we can plan and so that we don't get overly ambitious with our planning in terms of what we know. But we know it's going to be a very constrained budget as a result. And we also know that many of the programs our Vermonters and all of our constituents rely on, like food stamps, housing vouchers. All of those are being cut. And the state, as we know, does not have pockets deep enough to pick up all of those needs. And so we're going to have some real life and death choices in what we fund this year. And it's going to be a very, every year is a tough funding challenge. But I have to say, this year, the feds, I've served in the legislature now almost 22 years. I have never had to work in a situation where the federal government wasn't our partner. We have always had the federal government as our partner, solving problems, helping step in when we had disasters, adding to helping feeding the poor and housing and heating them. And this year, we, for the first time, really had a federal government that was our adversary in so many areas. And that has been really challenging I think, for those of us, for legislators. It's really tough. I'd like to speak to housing, because housing is one of our biggest needs in this community. And I'm chair of Senate Economic Development, Housing and General Affairs. I also serve in the afternoon on government operations. We did some great work on housing. We continued our work to reduce the barriers, mostly human-made, to housing development. We continue to do that work of addressing how we can align our permitting, how we can reduce zoning barriers to development, how we can green light, how we can say yes to development in areas that are served by water, sewer, and the appropriate infrastructure. We are in the process, as we all heard, those of us who were here for the Planning Commission presentation by Two Rivers. Every town in Vermont is mapping themselves in terms of where they want to develop and where they don't, what they want to keep pristine. At land use, where every town is being charged to look at their land and see how they want to use it in the future. And that came out of our housing work in large measure, because we want to be able to improve the speed and time in which we can improve all sorts of development. In housing, that's a long way of just saying that we, as you all know, we have a need we stopped really building in significant ways in the 80s when we did the housing assessment here in Woodstock before Safford Common was built. When the Woodstock Community Trust did that housing assessment, we needed 300 new housing units then. I was stunned that Two Rivers said we only needed 190 new housing units. Man, we need so much more than that. And certainly the Safford Common has added enormously, but we need many more Safford Commons and many more. If they're not Safford Commons, we need mixed use. We need all sorts of housing. We need downsizing so that our older people can move into housing that's appropriate for them, and we need to develop churn. So to that end, we had less money. COVID money has pretty much all been allocated. You should be really proud of yourselves. The state allocated over $600 million to all types of housing. The sad news is that with inflation, workforce, tariffs, and other challenges, that money is going less far than we were hoping it would go, just because as things are ready to be built, it's all costing more. But we still have this huge disconnect between Vermonters' incomes and the cost of rentals. So for example, an average renter in Vermont earns $18 an hour. The average 2-bedroom apartment would require an income of over $30 an hour. So we have a big disconnect on affordability and housing. So this year we passed a couple things that I'm hoping Woodstock will take advantage of. We passed a big bill that enables us, that Charlie and I worked closely on together, creating the Community Housing Infrastructure Program, designed to be a smaller tax increment financing opportunity for towns to build very focused infrastructure to enable housing development. And they have just finished their first draft guidelines. VEPSI, the Vermont Economic Progress Council, has just finished their first guidelines on that. It's very exciting. And we will hopefully have those ready for towns to take advantage of in January. The other thing to complement that is that we also created the Vermont Infrastructure Sustainability Fund within the Vermont Bond Bank, which will also help leverage more money for towns to be able to do very focused housing development. We also further invested in our very successful Vermont Housing Improvement Program, VHIP, which enables bringing vacant, blighted, non-code compliant buildings back online. It's a match with the developer, and for that, we have developed thousands of new units. It's very exciting. It is our biggest bang for our buck. We can, on average, these grants are costing taxpayers only $38,000 to create a new housing unit. That's amazing when you compare that to what it costs now to build an affordable housing unit. I think we are looking at our partners in affordable housing, and those units range from $450,000 to $600,000 a unit, depending on where you're building. So it is, to be able to create a new housing unit for $38,000, and that's great. But we have that, and of course, the accessory dwelling unit program is also in the VHIP program. But I think those are the big housing, those are the housing updates, and so we are going to continue to work. This year, we're going to continue our work aligning our permitting and zoning. We're going to have the appeals proposals, the appeals reform proposals from the Land Use Review Board, which we will be considering and working on, I hope, after their report comes to us November 15th. We'll be working on a dedicated revenue source for housing because we don't have one. And so that is something we're going to be working on. We're going to be working on rebalancing landlord-tenant laws, which need improvement. And we're going to be working on what the state may or may not be doing with short-term rentals. As you know, Woodstock led the way, creating an ordinance for short-term rentals, and the state basically took that idea and said, okay, every town, even if they don't have a charter, is able to create their own short-term rental ordinance. That has created a big patchwork around the state, and there are many people calling on the state to actually now step in and set some ordinance, set some statute about short-term rentals. So we'll probably be dealing with that. And we will also, there are many other things that we're going to be dealing with on housing, but the appeals conversation is going to be a huge piece of our work. So anyway, that's just a brief update on housing.
Thank you. Comment, Boyd?
I hear nothing about any tax relief. Will this new education plan help that out? You know yet?
Not yet, but there's a couple of things. One, I mentioned the ability to charge primary home versus second home at different rates.
Yeah.
Or at least the same rate, because as you know, in Woodstock, we pay higher than the second home rate. So that gives the legislature the ability to set those rates. So there is an intent on that. The second thing is, we don't really know what kind of savings are going to come from larger districts. They may be large, they may be negative. We don't know. So there has to be a lot more work done. What are the cost drivers? So part of the foundation formula, this is a new way of paying for education, is to figure out, are the assumptions that the legislature used correct? There's another study going on about that right now. But I hear you. It's about, how much can you afford to pay? I looked at my tax bill that I just got. I thank you for sending it out, but, really, it was kind of not mind numbing again, to get that bill. And it's like, not sure how I can afford that. So I know the situation people are in.
And I appreciate that. I mean, this whole bill and this process was done to try to stabilize the affordability. And Charlie's absolutely right. You know, right now we don't know. It's in its infancy, so to speak. So for us to give you any definite, and I know that's frustrating. We'd like to know.
Well, I will say.
We did end the tax. We did change some laws this last year around military pensions and how they are taxed. So we did make some tax relief to some specific categories of Vermonters as well.
But, Greg, we brought down a tax rate. We increased the statewide rate, only increased 1.1%. And that was obfuscated by our local choices on education. So I support the education budget, but that is what drove our tax rate this year, our education property tax rate. It was not the statewide rate, which only increased 1.1%. It was our local choices, and that's what will be flipped. We will be with a foundation formula. Those choices will be, it'll just be flipped on its.
We all want to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we do too.
Yeah.
I thought for sure this year our rate would go down because it was so high last year. And my tax bill's exactly the same, and it was shocking. I was actually stunned by that.
Because if it doesn't, you can not worry about housing because we're
Yeah.
all going somewhere else.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
Woodstock in particular was one of the municipalities that was hit the hardest. You know,
It's hit
30%.
hard this year.
And so it's imperative that we stabilize that. And that has to be a part of what happens.
Yeah, I can't understand for the life of me why you can't tax second homeowners the same as you tax residents.
Getting there. Tax department has really,
It's mind numbing that it was never the same to begin with.
it isn't the same. We have non-homestead.
Yeah, I know, and that's what I'm saying. Everyone should pay the same rate.
I don't disagree. In New York State, people pay the exact same rate. There's no
It's the
differentiation.
same amount.
So that
They should pay more.
Yes.
it's a luxury to have a second.
Yeah, it's a luxury and they don't contribute to the local economy.
Well,
I wouldn't
that's
say that.
I don't
Oh,
think
not
that's
as
right.
much as people that live here.
Well,
Oh, what? Ray would disagree with that.
Yeah, but that's correct.
yeah.
I would say,
Second
We
homeowners are
work
a
for
big
a
part of
lot of
our
them, but still, God bless them, if they can afford a second home,
They can afford to pay what we pay.
maybe
for
they ought to
taxes.
be paying more.
Yeah, there's a difference in the certification that has to be done every year, setting up as to how you're using the property. So it's not a current use situation. So that has to be set up by tax. So that's part of the process why it's taking so long. So because in your initial declaration, and then if you don't fill out the homestead declaration every year, then you get the different rate, the non-homestead rates, which is everything else. Anyway.
And I think probably another frustrating part of it is you have for a significant portion of the year, a home sitting empty, and we have a housing crisis. So, you know, we're having to balance that and figure that out as well, but I absolutely agree.
Laura, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think I remain skeptical that this plan is going to save the taxpayers money, given that we're, and I guess I would ask, we know, when school budget season comes around, when municipal budget season goes around, one of the major cost drivers is health insurance.
Yeah.
And so if that remains unchanged, but we still have to pay for health insurance for our staff, we have less money by mandate to spend on the things we need to, like the buildings that are either falling apart in our case, or the new buildings to be built for new districts. So I guess, is there a lot of faith right now in Montpelier that this is going to do anything except move a bunch of kids around and not give us the relief that the governor has promised? Well, because if that's the case, then like, how do our residents get involved? Firstly, in making their public comment in the redistricting process, but also, you know, in the second half of the biennium, talking about what we can do within that bill to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Well, there's a couple things. One is the school district redistricting task force. Has a number of public meetings. They're looking to increase the number of public meetings that they have and invite people to make comments to it. That's first. The second part of that whole process is even with the recommendations that they make, the legislature still has to vote on.
Yeah.
So then there's an opportunity for your representatives to advocate on your behalf. A third thing, the reason why I voted for that education reform bill is to make sure that we had the ability to tax different types of property owners at different rates, and also to include some kind of aid for school construction for communities that need to build them. Because without it, we didn't have that mechanism. So yes, there is a great sense of hope, but also a realization we have a ton of work left to do.
So I'm glad, you know, this healthcare was the main cost driver of why, in my opinion, the taxes, and this is why I didn't vote for this bill. It did not address that almost singularity, because if we do not find a way to control healthcare, and then I'm going to work very hard, as Charlie is, as Senator White, Senator Clarkson are, to make sure this is the best bill. But we have to find a way to control healthcare and healthcare costs for this. So I'm glad you brought it up, and keep beating that drum, right? Governor Scott as well, time and time again, because he seems to get no blame for any of this, and continue to make sure that we try to figure out our healthcare system.
Laura, I think it's safe to say that if there are not significant savings identified by all these task forces and all the work that our joint fiscal office and our legislative council do, in the course of this work, I don't think we're moving forward. I mean, there is, if they can't project savings by X time, I think many of us will be very skeptical and will probably not be supporting this work.
Okay.
I think I do strongly believe that there is critical mass that you need to have to maintain a high quality education that we all have come to expect from our middle and high school, and of course from our elementary school, but we're really not talking about that here. There is almost no interest in addressing elementary school change. There is, our middle and high school is really the discussion here. And I think that there's lots of concern that we want to maintain a high quality of education. But as we lose students, we lose that ability to afford all those options. Afford the best science options and language options, and arts and sports. So I think all of us want that, and all of us want to be able to deliver it sustainably at a price that we can afford on Vermont incomes, not on remote income, all from remote incomes from other parts of the country.
Absolutely.
So that is, I don't think we probably are, the legislature is not going to be at yes until they can see that cost savings at some point in the near future.
So I just want, for posterity, folks should find out the information for the redistricting public forums and participate if they can.
Yeah.
It's on, they have a website and they meet regularly, they're meeting
Monthly?
all the time.
It's on the Agency of Administration website, so I can provide the link to you if you want it. So you can see when the next agenda is and what data they're looking for, what things they're considering, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess my last comment is I really don't like having to vote to come out of executive session, but that's just an annoying thing for me. So
That's a lot.
yeah.
Yes. Yes. Well, we did allow site visits not to have to be filmed. That was, you know.
Oh, this is GovOps. This is a GovOps specific thing. Yeah. We should talk about that though.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna take some questions from the folks out here.
Yeah.
Joe, come on up, sign your name, please.
My question is kind of brief. I'm joking at Howard. And maybe I'm gonna ask pretty naive question. But what escapes me is, what advantage to the state to not have second home buyers pay the same? Why is it structured that, way? What advantage of structuring that way is it to the state?
So
And to the, and to the.
Oh,
community?
there isn't an advantage. There is not an advantage to the state. I think it's a function of, I mean, Charlie or Allison could also say this, but
we went through this with 60 and 68.
Yeah,
So the decision to separate out business and non-homestead people who didn't live here full time. That was one category, non-homestead and homestead. They felt, I believe at the time, we were not in the legislature at the time. But my understanding is the reason it was separated out then was that non-homestead second homeowners and people who own business properties did not vote on the school budget and therefore should not be held accountable financially for those choices. And that is why we had a separated, Susan helped me here.
No, that's
This
exactly
is
it.
why we had a separated
so
tax
they're
rate.
assuming that second home people don't know that there are kids going to school yet. I mean, really? They're coming to school, you know, they're coming into our state. They acknowledge the fact that there are kids going to school. Yeah, I've heard the argument, well, none of my kids are, because, you know, they're in Florida. You know what? You moved here. Why did you move here? Because it's a beautiful place, it's a safe place, it's a wonderful place to live. Well, then pay for it. Simple as that.
Right,
Just like we do. Simple as that, as far as I'm concerned, it's simple.
right. And I think that a unified tax rate would have solved that too. But I think the thought was then that businesses that own properties in towns and people who don't vote on the education bill budget shouldn't be penalized. And at that point,
I don't
they
call
were
it
paying a
penalized,
higher rate.
no,
It was
but it's
not always.
Is it? You call it being penalized. I mean, I don't think it is. They come in here with their eyes wide open, knowing that we have school and kids have to attend that school.
And it's our biggest course investment is school, is education.
So anyway, I'm just curious. I didn't understand why. What was the advantage to the state of not equalizing the tax rate?
So the theory was that if you made primary residents suffer the pain of spending more money on their schools, then they wouldn't.
Well, that's not working.
Yeah.
It's not working. Right.
My
It's
question,
not working. That's why we're going, that's part of the reason why we're going
Right,
through
that's
this whole thing.
but then my question is, they don't vote on the town taxes. Right? So what's the difference?
If they don't,
No, they benefit from everything in town. They pretty much benefit.
I don't
from
benefit
roads,
from the
all
school.
the facilities, you know, that.
but I don't think we all still agree with all of those arguments. I think you're just explaining, if I'm understanding correctly, Allison, you're just explaining those arguments because I think the culture has shifted on this topic, at least in the legislature.
Let's
Okay.
change it.
yeah, that's what we're doing.
We're working on it.
All right,
That-
you gotta sign that to it, Roger.
Hi, Roger Logan, Woodstock. I think I can speak for many, if not all people, that we thank you for getting the separate tax rates. And I think there's going to be a lot of sentiment for a higher tax rate for second homes because they do impose a cost on the community. And that's not to say that people shouldn't have second homes if they want to, but if I could have a house in Castine, Maine, I would not be surprised if they wanted to charge me more for having a house in Castine, Maine that I don't live in very often. On an somewhat optimistic note, I think it would be worthwhile to do some kind of report for the general public that talks about where we are with the education process and what are the next steps with the education process.
Sure. Yep.
And I think to the extent that you can put at least speculative numbers around that.
And we're not gonna be able to.
No, I understand that, but the fact that redistricting has been waved around like a magic wand and it's gonna save money. And you're telling me that nobody's even done the work to say it's going to save money?
Well, they can't do
Well,
that until they see the three plans. And the three plans will be presented once this redistricting committee finishes its work. And then our joint fiscal office and others will be,
But so a major component of this, at least in the public presentation of it, is entirely not data-based as far as
No, there is, but it's not, it's impossible to tell a school district that does not yet exist as to whether or not their budget is gonna be up or down from where it was before, because it didn't exist before either.
Okay.
So the state recognized that based on best practices, that we should be spending, in some cases, significantly less than we're spending now. And some districts aren't spending as much as they should be to educate their kids, and some districts are spending more. So it's really hard right now, when there was a spreadsheet that was developed. There was a school district that said, we're gonna lose $21 million, or Woodstock, I think, says,
Yeah.
we're gonna lose $7 million.
Right.
Well, that's not necessarily true.
Right.
So that's why we're being very careful.
No, I understand it's
Yeah,
very speculative,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just, to the extent that it's possible. And then, so I know, and I thank you for the work you're doing on this. It's obviously a ball of wax.
but Roger, thank you. I think after this committee has finished its work and has its 3 recommendations, we should be doing an article on and
Yeah,
explain
I think it would be, and from a much more pessimistic standpoint, which I'm afraid is not all that unlikely to come to pass. I think it's time to start planning for a significant drop in funding for the state. And talking to local communities, and maybe, I don't know if the legislature could do this without the governor, but start some broad level discussions about what the triage is. On a local level and on a statewide level, and for not-for-profits. What happens to the Thompson if the ACA doesn't get funded? The Older Americans Act, doesn't get funded.
Exactly. We face some really serious and hard choices.
So I think it would be, obviously you have to be non-political about it. But I think it would be a good idea to start the conversation with local communities to the extent that you can.
As soon as we
Obviously,
can
we have other things
appreciate
to do.
its impact on local, yes.
Well, and figure out, again, maybe this is being optimistic, well, I'm being pessimistic, but maybe there are steps that can be taken to alleviate some of the suffering.
Plus, we're not sure what is or isn't going to be funded as
Right,
well.
I understand, yeah.
We're kind of flying blind to a certain extent. So as soon as we have information, I mean, I agree with you. We'll try our best to put it in.
Okay, thank you.
I have 2 questions for the board, Mr. Chair, if I may ask.
Sure.
One is, there was an initiative a couple years ago, in the legislature to set up a task force to look at regionalization of services for municipalities. And then it kind of went in hiatus when the person who was chairing the committee didn't get reelected. So it kind of went to the wayside. Is that something you would like us to pursue, is reinvigorating that discussion of regional services for municipalities?
I don't see why not.
That was a big, thank you for bringing that up, because that was a big GovOps initiative. And it began with our regionalizing our public safety, EMS, fire, and
Dispatch.
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 Planning and zoning was very careful, works very closely with 2 Rivers, which is obviously a regional commission. They're incredibly helpful to us. They've been an incredible resource to us. My opinion is that, I mean, don't tell Keith Green I said so, but maybe there's more opportunities for us. That's my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say I run a conference each year of Valley town managers and general regionalization every single meeting, because we know it's happening and it has to happen. So I think anything you can do to help us with that'd be great.
Right.
The second question I had about informing people about stuff going on, what works best? I mean, I don't know if posting in a listserv is necessarily the right thing. Is it a morning coffee? I mean, you guys have a lot of experience from selling the water company to the public. So what works best? What would you like us to do in terms of that kind of stuff? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we did.
Yeah, we could.
I don't know
Actually,
if I
we
can
stayed
keep
away
up the
from
pace
that.
in yours. Okay, so both,
And you should come up if you can. It would be great to have folks come up for the Vermont League of Cities and Towns Municipality Day. That is a really big benefit to us mid-session if you're able to have someone who represents the select board join. Particularly, there's a public hearing that's held every year with Senate Transportation and House Transportation, where municipalities can basically express their perspectives on the transportation budget. Very helpful if you can be there. I would say it has swayed the conversation on funding every year that it's been held. So if you can join, that'd be great. And I am going to say good night and thank you for being so accommodating to me this evening. And it's an honor to represent you in the legislature.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Becca. Good to hear
See you soon, guys.
Bye.
Any other questions, comments?
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thanks.
This is great.
I just want, I'm sorry, I just want to thank them, they're all very responsive, so I've reached out to them on numerous occasions and hearing back from them very quickly, even if I disagree with their answers. It is nice to know that they're responding to, them, so I want to thank them all for all the work and also coming tonight and being responsive for all of us, thank you very much.
Well, and I just appreciate that because we, as you all know, have no staff, and particularly in session when we're getting hundreds of emails a day, it's tough to stay on top of everything. So have patience with us. And if not, get Eric to text us or do some, or there are ways to get our attention, but it's still we're overwhelmed with email. So thank you for being terrific partners.
So you don't have help enough?
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Greg, I know what, yeah.
Now you're not watering.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Chair, okay, I was wondering if we could maybe move the interviews up to the next, I think we've been playing for an hour. I don't want to tell that patient.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
I need to find.
I think we're so.
Greta?
Oh, yeah, that's one of the turn around. Great. Seems like we just got a whole bunch of.
My recommendation is going to a session.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, we'll start with Greta.
The design review committee's on the list first, just saying. Southwood
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
You're following the
I think we
agenda.
just do it with Scotland and Kyle Ward, I believe they went to.
Okay.
You have it?
Houston. Wording. Information. Scott.
No, he's for everything.
Yeah, Scott, there's a lot of.
Scott, in here? Or online?
No. Careful.
Carol.
Can you come up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. You meant to sit here.
Yes, but sure.
I'm Carol Wood. Live at 4944 South Road in South Woodstock, Vermont. And I am here to apply, I guess is the term, for the position of the South Woodstock Design Review Committee. And I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
But just tell us a little bit about why you're interested in this.
Okay. I've always had an interest in architecture, especially antique architecture early on in my own life. I've owned 4 antique homes, one as early as the mid 1700s. I moved into South Woodstock very much because of the architectural design of the community and the fact that the community has kept it so cohesive
And my goal as a member of that committee and chosen is to continue that. I've sold a lot of the homes in the community, and part of when I sell a home there is to give the people as much information about the history of that house and encourage them to continue research so that they will know even more, and to explain to them why, if they're going to do an update or change, whatever, that's very important that they keep the integrity of that building. Because that building's had a lot of history. And we have to come into the 21st century, of course, but we can do it in a tasteful way that, as I said, keeps the integrity of what the village is. So that would be my strength. I feel like I've had a lot of experience myself in hands-on with my own properties, and my focus basically in my many years of real estate has been with antique properties. That's my real love. So I don't know what else to say, but do you have any questions?
Carol, I guess one of the things that we're working on at the planning commission level and our boards are working on is ensuring that we're prioritizing housing and development. And one of the things that we've seen in our community is that some of these boards and committees and the regulations we have can sometimes be an unnecessary obstacle to development by adding time and cost to these processes. Do you have an opinion on that, or
well, just so that I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're saying that a lot of people that buy homes because of restrictions on what they can do.
No, I'm saying that we've identified as a board that one of our goals is increasing housing and development. And one of the common sense, I guess, measures to increasing housing and development is lowering barriers, which would lessen timeframes and regulations for folks to build. As a potential member of an advisory committee, do you have an opinion on, I guess, the importance of building versus design and aesthetic?
What, again, I'm a little confused.
That's okay.
Are you saying that if somebody wanted to buy, narrowly interested in South Woodstock?
Yeah, no,
But there's not any vacant lots anyway.
yeah, this committee doesn't meet that often. But I guess I'm concerned because we've come across some of our design advisory boards believe themselves to be, I guess, enforcement boards or jurisdictional.
Okay, now I'm getting to what you're saying.
How do you think you balance the aesthetics and the history of South Woodstock
with the cost?
With the need for development and building?
Well, it is a balance, because obviously part of what makes that village so special is the fact that we don't have structures that are not pretty cohesive to the whole.
Yeah.
Again, it's kind of hard to have new building. I know that right now there is a garage that has petitioned, and I think been given a permit to turn it into living space. I think that's great. Structure outside is already there. I think more housing in that regard, but they're not planning to separate it. It's going to be actually like a guest of their own. Building costs are so exorbitant. When I hear $500 a square foot is sort of the going rate, it blows my mind.
Yeah.
So I think you have to work together. You know, you have to be open-minded, not closed-minded. and try to understand how you can mesh it. I mean, I frankly, I don't really know how to answer that any better. I mean, working together, open-mindedness, and as I said, in Woodstock, which is what this committee be about.
Yeah.
That's not gonna impact us very much, because there's really very little vacant land in that district that, so. But certainly if somebody wanted to come in and present a building project, I would have an open mind to look into it. And costs, I can't really control that when I hear.
No, yeah.
Builders.
Yeah.
Present, but no, open-mindedness, I think, is very important for any review. No matter what. Because there are lots of ways to accomplish anything. So you just keep an open mind and give everybody that opportunity to present their case. And I think that's what you basically do when you go before a design. I know I did, when I did my rep.
Are you aware of how the design advisory committee works with the other planning and zoning board?
Again, I'm having a hard time hearing.
So are you aware of how the advisory committee works with the other boards?
Yeah.
that we have? You are?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. And in fact, as I said, 25 years ago, I had to go before the South Woodstock Design Committee. And then from there, I had to come into Woodstock with my plans to go before, not to design, but I had to be approved by South Woodstock.
Yep.
And then I came in, and then I got my building.
Yeah, so this is actually an important change because the advisory committee is just that, it's advisory. And so advisory committees can't compel applicants to come in front of them, which is kind of education we're trying to bring to the other boards. So the advisory committee can issue a recommendation, but they can't issue an enforceable decision.
No. Yeah, I know that.
Questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, that's it, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Is Scott online or here?
I don't see him.
In marketing.
So I think just for, but just for kind of context, just Kirby's been doing marketing for Woodstock now for a little while. Originally it was the EDC and then a marketing group. And this was kind of almost reported to that group. And what we're trying to do is get away and have a group that will support our marketing efforts and work with just Kirby kind of further along the marketing aspect of Woodstock. So it's a new committee we're looking at. Just been working with all the applicants leading up to today, and to kind of be helping us shepherd through this. So with that, I think we want credit to go first for time.
Yeah, credit and then Jennifer.
Okay.
She's also on the time.
Okay. Right up there? Okay. Talk a little bit and why you want to be on the marketing.
Sure. So I have been serving on the marketing committee for the past couple of years as a representative from the EDC. I was on the EDC for 2 years and as a co-chair of the marketing committee. So I really enjoy the group. It's a collaborative group. It is, there's some creative aspects, there's some technical aspects, and I'm learning a lot. But overall, I just feel like it's an important way to stay engaged with the community. We get to work with the merchants, we get to work with the locals who are putting on community events. So I find a lot of enjoyment in it. During my time on the committee, we experienced a lot of change. We worked on getting a new marketing coordinator in the door, who's Jess, and we cut down our costs significantly while still having really great outcomes. We've also been really involved, or I should say, I've been really involved with the group getting the new website underway, and we're pretty close to having that ready to be launched here in the next month or two. So I would say that I've got some good experience. I enjoy doing it, and that is why I'm here tonight.
Thanks, Kevin.
Any questions for the board, for the board?
Have you guys settled on a schedule or timing of meetings, like how often you meet?
I mean, my goal is to keep it to one. meeting
Once a month.
Yeah,
Okay.
to make it manageable for people.
That's doable, Greta.
Oh, yeah.
Jennifer is next.
This, I don't know.
Can I just share?
You got it?
I don't know if there's more than one.
Okay. We can share.
Jennifer? You there?
Hi, yes, sorry. Hello. Thank you for
Hi.
having me. Okay, so I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. My name is Jennifer, and I've been a Woodstock resident for 6.5 years, and I am currently working at the Woodstock Chamber of Commerce. So that's my main interest on wanting to be a part of the marketing committee. They work closely with a lot of local businesses and put on some events. And I also or I was contracted by the town, by you guys, and through the EBC to do the marketers. I did that prior to Jess and somewhat with class 4 when they were doing it. So I have experience on writing about the town and different community things and how, sorry, my toddler is right there, and how all of us working together, being cohesive and having a clear plan and better communication can be helpful. That's my toddler, sorry. Yes.
I have a quick question. Yeah. Jennifer, will you be joining as an individual or as like a representative of the chamber?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I would rather join as an individual, but I just felt like my position working part-time at the chamber is relevant to be useful and adding that part of the voice. I mean, I guess it would be up to what the select board wants, but
No, that's good. I just want clarification, yeah.
Jennifer, you're not a chamber member yourself. It would just be, yeah. So,
yeah, I'm not a chamber member myself. I'm just an employee of the chamber.
Works at the chamber and has those relationships, so I think she's a valuable connection.
That it for Jennifer?
I think so. Any other questions?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John?
I'm suggesting we move to people in the room because you've all been patiently sitting here. So I don't know who all of you are.
Yeah. John, Steinley?
Steinley.
Steinley? Please sign in when you, so we can know who said what, I guess. Okay. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you'd like to join the marketing committee.
Okay. I've lived in Woodstock since 2011. My first and longest term job was with Lawrence Rockefeller in his resort management company, Rock Resorts, of which, of course, the Woodstock is part. And in that company, I was responsible for its marketing and advertising. So I have what I think is a special insight into the tourism challenges and opportunities and seasonality of the demand of tourism here. Also an understanding sort of as embodied as the Woodstock, in the Woodstock Inn, as a symbol of Woodstock, of what makes, this place different, unique and desirable to visit. My second career, for about 10 years was to be in the New York City advertising business, where I worked as an account manager for this company, which was a subsidiary of J. Weldon Thompson. Clients like IBM, Steinway Piano, the New Yorker magazine. And in that capacity, helped develop campaigns that recognize the uniqueness of each of those products or services. Part of that effort, which I feel is really important to any marketing program, is the gathering of information from the various constituencies, customers, prospective customers, before agreeing upon for that product or service, what makes it desirable. And one of the things that we did in many cases, including for the Woodstock Inn, was research amongst the various constituencies to determine what priority needs, concerns each of them had before agreeing on what the message might be. I'm a retired guy. I hope be 80, and I would love to get involved in a constructive way.
Any questions? Thank you.
Great.
Is anyone else here for marketing? I know, okay. Roger, and then Paul.
Again.
You haven't changed-
Unknowingly say
You haven't
that.
changed your name?
I can use my middle name. So, the first, I have several things that I would suggest bringing to this effort. The first thing is whether the name is changed or not. I don't believe this should be a marketing committee. I believe it should be a marketing communications committee. Because one of the things I think we should do is acknowledge the fact that the people of Woodstock have put tremendous resources into this effort over the years. And at the moment, the way things are set up is that does not have any direct, our website and our social media don't have any direct benefit for the people of Woodstock. Obviously, they have a significant economic development benefit and that they're bringing in tourist dollars, which is critical to the economy of this town. But I believe that the website should also include benefits for the town and ways of helping to bring people here or understand what life is like here. I think there should be a component of the communications effort that's about the school, what the ramifications of building a new school would be, what the ramifications of building a new school, of not building a new school would be, things like that. I think we need to expand the purview of our marketing effort to be a true marketing communications effort. And there's many different aspects that can be done, and obviously would be a long-term working process to do, but I think this effort, this communications effort should become something that's more critical to local residents and perhaps could even start working in conjunction with the town to coordinate communications or maybe take some of the burden away or whatever. The second thing is on the strict marketing side of things, where we're talking about bringing in revenue from tourists. I think we need to significantly diversify what we're doing. There's nothing on our website, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I might have missed something, but I don't see anything about opportunities for kayaking in the local area. I don't see.
There's no water.
Yeah.
We got that.
Well, I mean, that's, to that point. Woodstock, from a tourist standpoint, I think Woodstock should be seen as a regional hub for tourism, that people are gonna come here, but it's kind of silly not to talk about Pomfret and going kayaking in Silver Lake and going to Reading and going kayaking on that pond, going to Feast and Field, going to Artistry. I think we need to, again, without getting rid of current constituencies, or we need to start looking at topical marketing to a considerable extent. We have a great mountain biking infrastructure around here and passionate people about mountain biking. They should have their own section of the website where they talk about mountain biking here and mountain biking there, and not just in Woodstock, because we're talking about the region. Mountain bike up Mount Escutney, or trail bike up Mount Escutney, and then go to the Brownfield General Store for lunch. This economy of Woodstock is going to rise. The visitor economy of Woodstock is going to rise and fall based on people coming here as part of a regional place to visit. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, took his kid to the Tunbridge World's Fair. That should be something that we talk about when it's like, what it's like to live here as a family with little kids, and you go to the Tunbridge World Fair and they say bye at the oxen or whatever. Talk about what a culturally rich area this is. We have artistry, we have St. Gaudens right across the river. Beautiful, amazing place. We have the Hood Museum. We can talk about go on an art tour, go on a food tour. We're going to have to include the rest of the region, but I think to the extent that we can get topical, we can then talk about different aspects and be kind of more interesting to people coming to this area. And also from a technical standpoint, I hate to say we should spend some more money, but I think we would do well to hire a consultant to understand how the new AI search engine stuff is going to affect traffic to our website, and maybe even look at the metrics. Because in some cases, if people get the information we want them to get, if they get that on Google, because that's the way Google is doing it now, and don't go to the website, then they got the information that we wanted them to get. So we need to be, but we probably need somebody who really studies that as a profession at this point, because it's tremendously complicated. And it would cost X amount of money. I don't know how much, but so those are my brilliant ideas.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Roger? Thank you, Roger. Polly? Hi. Just, please sign in. Thank you.
My name is Polly Hughes, and I live in South Woodstock, and I have been a member of the Woodstock community for the better part of 30 years, back in the mid-80s, the heyday of Bentley. Come on, who didn't love that disco ball in the garage? That was my first entree into Woodstock, and as somebody young in the community, it was just a really great community and a really great place to be. And I really fell in love with Woodstock. And at that time I felt that it was a different time, as I'm sure a lot of us know who've been around for a long time. It was different. But there was a real sense of community. And I had the opportunity to live in Boston for a while and then move back home many years ago, living in South Woodstock. And when I met Jess, we had this conversation about the marketing and event committee. And one of the things that came out of our conversation was that I have a background
in event and marketing, and I think that I could use my experience to serve this committee well. But what I'm really interested in is serving the community and bringing the community together in a way that it feels that it's disparate at the moment. We have so many resources in this town, and we have so many great people. And there's a disconnect, and I really would love for us to be able to bring everybody together, bring different organizations together. So, you know, and echoing some of Roger's sentiments about ways to get the word out about different community events and things that are going on in different parts of our community. I think strengthening the bonds of community is something that's just really important, especially in these times for all of us living here. And being able to, I know that there are organizations and people who don't know about what's going on or don't know about each other. I was on the communications committee on the Audit Beachy Health Foundation for several years. And that was a really wonderful experience, and I loved it. One of the things that I took away was that there are so many organizations that do great things in this community that don't know about each other, or that folks don't know about. And how do we get the word out about that? And I think this committee and this I like the marketing and communications committee. I think it's a great opportunity for us to be able to connect the folks who live here with the organizations and the people who do different things here. And then also in the bigger picture, because it is tourist dollars that do fund a lot of us, I think in the bigger picture to have that opportunity to share the great things about Woodstock as well. I just dial it back so that we can support the community more, to be able to then I think be stronger to support bringing in more of those tourist dollars. Because if we're not a strong community together, then to me it doesn't really serve us well. And it doesn't matter how many tourists come through town, it's not going to help us at the core if we're not all connected. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you. Closest here for marketing?
Jody, I had trouble submitting the application, but
Okay. You're next.
Well,
Sign in to state your name for when I do the recording, so you know for their listening to, please.
My name is John Edick, and I've lived here since 2000, moved to Vermont 10 years ago. I'm one of your favorite second homeowners. I don't vote in the town, but experience in living in resort areas. I lived and worked in Newport, Rhode Island for the last 30 years. I owned a catering company there for 10 years. I worked on the Chamber of Commerce and the executive board for 2 terms, 6 years, and the Discover Newport Visitors Bureau for 6 years as well on their executive board. My experience with resort towns in the past has been one where there are various factions. And those factions are those folks that would like the tourists to come, stop at the bridge, dump their money in a pot, and then go back home. I think that this opportunity for the marketing committee is something that I've experienced before, and that I'm volunteering my experience to help here. I think of the marketing in more than just bringing tourism. I think in marketing the community, you're marketing the whole of the community. If we're looking for people for development, for housing, You're looking for developers that are looking to look at the town, look at the community as a viable place for their businesses. I don't think anybody on the marketing committee is going to propose that we put Walmart or a nuclear power plant nearby. But to enhance taxpayers' resources, enhance those dollars, I think you always need to look at what are the jobs. When we look at the opportunities for people that live here and the housing, as was discussed earlier today, someone that makes $18 an hour is going to have a hard time affording some of these properties. Having someone come in and work with the community, work with the people that are here to develop that community vision, the schools, businesses, community itself, I think is an important part of any marketing. My experience in the past in Newport was with economic development. We had on our membership 1,100 members. 1,100 members of the Chamber of Commerce, dues paying members, 90% of them were small business owners. So we had to relate to the person who's a one-person operation with a building downtown. How do we help them? How do we get them to participate in the community? And what their needs are. So an important part of what I see as marketing is listening to the people and understanding what it is they'd like to market. How can we help? How can we bring relief to the taxpayers, as we were discussing before? How can we bring tax dollars without losing the charm that brings everybody here? One of the things that's always asked is, why did you choose to come to Woodstock? I don't think I chose Woodstock other than a nice Vermont town to live in. And it is all of those things. And I think that's the important part to be shared. I don't think that any marketing should look to try to destroy that piece. But I think the perspective of someone who did come here for a reason could be valuable to everyone. I welcome any questions you might have of me.
Any questions from everyone? No. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Joe?
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
My name is Joe Pinatelli. I lived there since 1990. Prior to moving to Vermont, I operated and developed quite a business. Mommy was a big part of their success and sometimes failure. I believe that marketing has to be done wisely. I've learned in the past that, and I think same holds true for this town with other marketing efforts that is done. Sometimes it gets misdirected and money is spent unnecessarily. I think the direction in the town and past marketing efforts, I think, has escaped some essential truth, some essential facts and opportunities. I'd like to see this marketing effort could probably get refocused on what could actually work. I also believe that there are the people who come here to live, their first experience is coming here to either have fun or shop or just look around. And that question is what drives them to look at the opportunity. Getting in here, I think, is a key factor. Plus, you know, I've been a citizen of this town for a long time, and I do feel that it's a responsibility of citizens to do what they can. This town, particularly this town, great place, a great place it is. Plus, look at the something to do, same to the other restaurants, so. I'd like to have fun, and, you know, she said, okay, Dad, that's it, goodbye, I get it from here, so. Now looking for something to do, and this is a lot of fun, and very enjoyable. So. There you have it.
We'll yell at Sam later.
Yes.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience? Yeah. Dimitri, where is it? Okay, Dimitri,
Yep. Good evening. I'm online connected. Thanks so much for your time. My name is Dimitri Kim. I am a marketing professional with a background in photography, videography, and also social media specialty. Currently serving as a marketing coordinator at Twin Farms. And I've been a resident of Woodstock for would be two years in December and of Vermont for 5 years. Well, I saw the post being posted on the Woodstock listserv, contacted with Jess, and she had some wonderful ideas about creating a marketing committee to coordinate our information and all of our efforts, which sounded like a fantastic idea that I would love to help with. We refer to Woodstock at Twin Farms as a hallmark of a town, which is beautiful not only on a facade, but as I've been learning more and more as interacting with people here, is beautiful on the inside with a wonderful community. I'm just looking forward to help as much as I can to the town to learn more about local culture and how it can be grown sustainably, which meaning a supporting local community and expanding at the same time in the correct message that we like to share with the rest of the world and our own community. Thank you very much for your time. I want to keep it short, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
any questions? Okay, thank you. Talia?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Thalia Tringo. I just had gum surgery, so I might have to stop and get something to drink. I am a second homeowner in Woodstock. I agree that we should actually pay the same or more taxes, so don't hate me. But I bought a house there in 2018, hoping to eventually retire there. I also bought the old pharmacy building. And I know from interviewing prospective tenants there what it is that keeps businesses from coming to Woodstock and what it is that attracts them to Woodstock in the first place. I own my own small independent real estate company in Massachusetts, where my primary home is. And I had a previous life as a glass bead maker and jeweler. And in both businesses, I've had to do a lot of strategic marketing with very limited budget. So being creative and targeted has been part of my approach to reaching people successfully. And that's what I would hope to bring to the committee. I have a long history of participating in the community where my first home is. And I'd like to continue that in Woodstock. I've been on the boards of many nonprofits, mostly in the areas of homelessness, housing, environment, and the arts. And let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions?
Were you able to make a monthly meeting?
Yes, sometimes I'm here, sometimes I'm often here during the week. Sometimes it would be by Zoom.
Okay, thank you.
Last person, Kristen emailed earlier today, she's gonna make it to come out. She's still very much interested in the position, but she's been making today. That's all, right?
Yeah. we have it.
Looks
That's it.
Yeah, but.
Yeah.
That's everyone, yeah. And then we have investment advisory.
Yeah.
So just so people are aware, I think the plan is select board to go to the session later tonight, have a discussion about all these committees, and they may or may not have a decision by the end of tonight. But you'll be known, either from Jeff or myself, who we decided to choose.
The investment committee.
Yeah, I think is
Michael Green.
I just texted him.
Hey guys, you guys are finally done with all the appetizers of the evening. Now onto the main course, I take it. Sorry I couldn't make it. Kind of caught between some dinner and bedtimes here. But thanks for having me. Yeah, so as you guys are probably all well aware, Jill Davies has left town, is moving out of town actively. And it's created a couple of roles specifically in the financial oversight and support committees, including the investment advisory committee and the trustee of public funds. So looking to fill both of her vacancies. I was able to attend the investment advisory's one annual meeting per year. I was able to make the one this summer, which was pretty great. I think I'm also going to be helping to steer some of the annual procedures if able to fill this role. And so, if I'm able to be appointed, I can help out and, will probably be a point of contact to that advisory committee going forward. None of the other active members rose their hand to take that role. So yeah, happy to take questions. I don't know if there are any, or if you guys have any questions about the investment advisory committee.
Like was appointed or approved lawfully by the trustees, so this would be with your approval.
Okay,
great. And he's the only applicant who applied for this open position.
Competition.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions? No. All right, we will get back to you. Or Eric will get back to you. Somebody will get back to you.
Yeah.
Roger that. Thank you.
Thank you.
For agenda, if I can suggest we do the Riverside,
Oh,
because Jenna was here, and then I think Kurt is probably here for a liquor license. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, then we don't need to rush you through.
Yeah, bye.
Should we go to Fire and Select Board next? All right.
Do you want to move to the conversation about the Riverside Mobile Home?
Yeah.
That's what I was suggesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And just sign it so that when Kitty does the minutes, she knows who said what. Please.
I'm National Blackmore. I'm the executive director at Sustainable Woodstock. And I'm here to talk to you all about the CDBG-DR grant, which is a long acronym, community development. This opportunity is available to us because, and to certain parts of the state as a result of the 2023 flooding with housing and recovery focus. So this, I know in my materials I've sent to you all the overview of the project description. I've been working on this with Kyle to River. Be here tonight is a different select board meeting. But we've been working on this since like early August. The application deadline and timeline has been very quick. This is really the only meeting we can get in to actually see you guys about it because it's due by the end of this month. But I have a few things that I need for the application. And then one thing I just want to let you guys know. So first, the application requests a letter of support from the select board. It wants a resolution granting authority to the town's admin to act as the municipal authorizing official. So that is the resolution that I sent.
And I sent a draft letter of support as well. Those are the two like official documents that they want with the application submitted. They also want to get a sense of the level of municipal support. So they want a sense of how you all are thinking about the work and what your thoughts are and your level of support, I suppose. And then the last thing, my like 4 bullets I wanted to get is that, as part of this grant, it was required to have a public meeting to get public comment. And that meeting is Wednesday, September 24th, 4 to 5 p.m. Here at Town Hall. If a select board member can make it, it would be ideal, but they understand because it's a tight timeline. If no one can, it would be really excellent if at least one of you could. That's September 24th, 4 o'clock here.
And sorry, who's hosting the meeting, Jennifer? Are you hosting? Kyle, okay.
There aren't really it's very vague what it requires. It just basically requires that we talk about the grant and get public input, whatever that may be. So, and we have to document that. So those are that's like my overview of what I came tonight to get from all of you. It's kind of a lot. It's been a lot to work on this grant. It's such a tight deadline, I will not lie. But we're in a good place. We're quite close to completing it. And basically it's sort of the way I've been thinking about it in my head is sort of a 2-parter. It's working with the engineer to get an in-depth 2D study of the site and upstream and downstream so we can better understand what the river channel actually looks like. And with that would come a better understanding of what actions could be taken to make folks there safer, which, you know, most likely is going to involve some sort of floodplain restoration. So lowering land and creating space for water to go to. We don't know yet if it will require or recommend moving homes off site, but as part of this study, we also are requesting funding to work with an civil engineer and a real estate agent locally to look at potential parcels in Woodstock that you could relocate up to 12 mobile homes. Although everything's still pretty up in the air without knowing what the engineers are going to say. So those are the sort of 2 parts I've been keeping in my head as being related, but separate. So happy to get like questions, comments, anything like that.
Question?
How much, for posterity, how much is the range of grant funding available?
I don't really know if I know they do the maximum. We are requesting probably about 210,000.
Okay.
This is a planning grant. There are also implementation grants, but I don't know how high those go.
That's what I was gonna ask, because
Those are way high.
okay, yeah, I was gonna say relocating home sounds very expensive.
Right, and this wouldn't cover anything like that. It's just planning.
This is just the planning. Have you had any community outreach within the park already? And if so, how's that gone?
Yeah, so I'm working with Carla Camel, our community care coordinator, the hub, some folks from the hub, Kyle and Marie Caduto, who's our watershed planner. And we had a public meeting at the park on August 11th, which was really great. Talked about a number of things, just including like general safety and flood preparation. But we talked about this grant and the possibility of applying. And then we did a survey for folks who were there. We got 21 responses and all but one were in favor of us applying to the grant. The one that wasn't was a maybe, so I'll take it. Yeah, so folks generally seem supportive because it's not requiring us to take an action. It's mostly just learning more about what's
getting more information.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Are we voting?
We voted on this.
There's a vote later down on the budget under the CDBR grant application. So the discussion then potential vote. I don't know if you guys want to vote on it now, you can, or you can wait till the vote section.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Okay, is there a motion to approve or support the grant application from Sustainable Woodstock and Two Rivers?
I will move that we approve the CDBGDR grant and issue the letter of support and other documents required to support the grant.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 So
Thank you. I guess I'll just follow up with.
Yeah.
Document, and basically it's either now or at the public meeting, anything that you want to have go on record for the people reviewing it, in terms of supporting the project. Beyond this, which is weird, but they do ask beyond the letter of support, anything that indicates level of support for the project.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
You know, it's been an at-risk community in 2 flood events, and I think it's really crucial that we try to figure out a way to support them.
Thank you. It's really helpful.
Thank you.
You can send me the letter of support, the Word document, and throw on a letterhead and have the chair sign it.
Yeah, and you have the rest.
Up to you. If you want to do-
Why don't we do the liquor licenses real quick, right?
Yep.
Okay. I guess I'll vote.
Okay, I move that we approve liquor licenses for Imprint 1022 VT, a first and third class liquor license, Beachy Yacht Club, first, third, and outdoor consumption permit, and Positive Pizza Inc., first and third permit, or first and third license. My motion, and I guess our approval, is conditioned on the understanding that the state is reviewing these applications because we are no longer given information to do so.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I guess my question, you want to just go through and get rid of, go through all the voting now? You probably have to wait on the abatement.
Oh, we do have abatements, yeah.
Yeah.
And the discussion part would probably be mostly to support themselves anyways.
Yeah. We can do the abatements now. Right?
Would you want to go to the which is as is, was that the request for extension for the ADU?
Oh,
That first.
Yeah, probably next if you want to vote in.
Is she on? Sorry.
Do you have any background?
So as part of Trina, our housing coordinator's offboarding process, she let me know what, grants we had outstanding. This is one of them. This ADU grant has already been extended once. And so the applicant is requesting, a second and final extension, through the end of October to finish this, ADU, to complete this ADU and rent it. I have seen this applicant advertise, for a tenant, so I am hopeful that they are going to finish this. I would recommend that this be the final extension. This is also, the applicant has the knowledge that they do not finish by this deadline. Not only do they not receive the final part of their grant, but then they, have to pay back the town for the first installment of the ADU grant.
any questions?
No, I think just for the record, it's money that was already budgeted and
Yes.
came from a prior funding period or whatever. So I would move we extend it to October 31st, 2025, under the conditions you outlined, that if it's not done then, they're done and they have to repay funds received.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Two abatements first, I guess.
Next is
The water abatement policy is next.
So last meeting we discussed, we needed, abatement for the water department. The recommendation of the board was to use the same ones as sewer. So we find in front of you is the sewer abatement policy with everything that's a sewer is changed to water. And it follows the same guidelines. That's good. Yeah, one of the goals. So if there's any comments, we can make changes, or if you want to vote on it, as you guidelines.
I think it's Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to approve the water abatement policy?
I'll make a motion, we approve the water abatement
How do I
policy
make,
to mirror our sewer abatement policy and our property policy.
Is there a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Water abatement is approved. Okay. Sewer abatement, 33 Central Street.
Hi, I'm Will Ladd. My sister Eliza is on. We're the owners of 33 Central. So I'll keep this short and sweet. I think it's pretty straightforward, and we laid out the facts in our letter of September, or our email, excuse me, of September 8th to Ray and Susan. Essentially, we've been charged interest and penalties over $500 because the town continued to use the incorrect address. We provided it multiple times. We're informed by agents of the town that they had the correct address. We're going to use it. They didn't. We think that's manifest error on the part of the town. We would request that those interest and fee charges in the amount of $506.56 be abated.
Robert has not, but I was at room that was email, so I'm looking for this.
So I would move we abate the penalty and interest based upon, our guideline that, if it's a manifest error of the town, that can be abated.
Is there a second?
a second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you very much. Will we be receiving any sort of documentation that these fees have been abated? And if we will receive documentation, could we make the request that they get emailed to us?
Yeah, go reach out to Kitty Chorus. She can send you the minutes. They'll have this goes taking place. There is a goes.
Oh.
It's yeah, they bake for the
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank you. Hey, Bud?
He was online. He had to go take care of something. But he's looking for abatement for
This was hard to figure out.
$30.96 at Hart Spring, $3.84.
This is also an address issue, is that?
Claim that they never received the original bill for 2706 with Woodstock. And the addresses were changed without their inputs.
Sorry, this is
Yeah.
a long email chain that doesn't really. I think it would be, personally, I think it would be helpful if he filled out
Yeah.
something a little more concise than this email chain that is really hard to understand what happened.
Yeah.
So I would ask, I would move that we table this and get a better
Yeah.
explanation.
I'll be the glamour of it.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay,
email's going back to 2023.
Timothy Main,
Yeah, good evening. I sent you an email, so you should have that in front of you. The short story is in 2023, I think it was February 2023, we had a pipe burst. We saw about 23,824 gallons of water empty into the house, into the basement. So what that water did not go down in the sewer. So I'm asking for removal of the penalties, a removal of the interest. I'm happy to pay in line with historic usage. And then also, you know, with the aqueduct, we were trying to get this whole thing sorted out with the water abatement. With that, would like to come to some agreement on the water bill. We've been trying to get this resolved now for, you know, almost a year. So we're trying to, you know, figure out how can we get this put behind us.
Yeah, I think the sewer bill will be easier than the water.
the water. Not so much.
No, because it was paid to the aqueduct, so we don't have a fund. So it's hard for us to return money that we didn't receive.
Yeah.
I think the bill's carrying over to the town is what's happened. So I haven't paid the bill. We were trying to get it. I kept paying in it, you know, consistent with historical trend. What our monthly bill was like $60. Trying to get this thing resolved, but you know, especially once they decided to sell, we just couldn't get any attention.
So when did this pipe burst again? In 2023?
Yeah, it was February 28th, 2023. You can see in the bill, we didn't see a water bill until November 2023. We had multiple conversations. We even had appointments for them to come to the house, try to figure this out. You know, we were told to try to get the abatement on the water first, then come to the town for the sewer. I don't know if that was the right or wrong thing, but that's what we were trying to do.
So just focusing on the sewer, what was your typical sewer bill and what was it?
I gave you, I think there's a copy of the historical sewer bill.
Okay.
It was Ashley provided it and I attached it to the email.
Yeah, I have it. And so,
you know, I'm good with paying the highest amount, you know, whatever that was, you know, again, I'd just love to get this put behind us.
so the highest we had was 642, and am I correct that you were billed over 4,000?
Yeah, it looks that way.
Yes.
And you paid your water bill, is that correct?
Yeah, I kept paying the water bill at $60 a month while we were trying to sort out this. We didn't know why, you know, it wasn't until you gave us the records that we saw there was 23,000 gallons of water that had spilled.
So I guess I'm trying to figure out. What are you looking for the water bill?
Just to come up with a number, you know, that's really what it is.
Okay, have you paid the amount?
No, I have not. I'm looking to pay it. That's why we're here.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're looking to clear this up.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd like to be able to pay both the sewer and the water, send you a check, and then let's be friends.
Well, it depends how big the check is.
They have an interest, you have to train in that?
I did,
Okay.
I flunked.
That was hard to find.
Yeah. All right, so considering that there's been we're not refunding any management paid to the aqueduct. I would entertain a motion to have the sewer bill reduced to 642, and the water bill to whatever the usage was. Historical usage. And you can work that out with Robert.
Robert actually,
Yeah, or Robert or Ashley.
Okay, what's his, how do I spell his last name?
Densmore.
Densmore, okay.
Went to, yeah.
So
Okay,
is there a
Robert Densmore. Yeah.
Okay.
is there
And
a
he's
second?
at the, sorry,
Second.
he's at the office?
He's at a conference, but only in Thursday morning.
Okay.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you.
Hi.
Great, thank you
you.
so much.
Have a good week.
Fireworks contract.
Where do we?
Hang on, see who's gonna do the fireworks.
I know. Well,
You volunteering, Kurt?
Yeah.
where do we stand with?
Hi, Roger.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Roger. Where do we stand,
With
with the
volunteers.
committee and the volunteers that are going to?
So, one person I kind of volunteered to lead the committee,
Yeah.
recently they expressed concern that they probably don't have time to do it. We have a meeting scheduled at 3 o'clock this week at, OSC actually. So I can only be there for half an hour because I have another meeting, but we're trying to get everyone who showed interest in being on the power committee together to discuss this. So I should have more of an update on Thursday. We did express to the people who've been interested that their costs have gone up significantly from last year. And so they're aware of that.
But they have to fundraise the balance of whatever we didn't. We didn't.
Right.
Right,
If that's the guidance, then yes, if that's what they'll. I'll know.
that's what. Okay.
Well,
I think we had
we
four,
get-
we had 4 people interested, at least by my count, that were interested in the committee.
I can pull up.
No, I think we need to find out before I would wait till next week and find out what happens with the meeting.
Well, is there a risk of not approving this today, I guess? Because it seems like folks want the fireworks.
Yeah, but we need somebody that's gonna do it.
I know.
And to be clear, the fireworks would be on July 5th.
Which is a Sunday again.
That's what, yeah.
Well, everybody, because it's a significant historic date, people got the dates before Eric even became our municipal manager.
Yeah,
The ability to have it on July 4th was gone.
Yeah, what are we calling it? It's not the bicentennial.
The job opportunity.
Yeah.
I can YouTube everything I need to know about fireworks between now and next year.
So there is a joint meeting on the 29th. If you want to vote on this, they'll give an update. We can, I mean, I think we could sign a contract. I don't have it in front of me, but there is, I think if we cancel the contract.
30 days, it's a 10%.
Oh.
No, if we cancel it more than 30 days before the display date, we have to pay 10% of the contract. So which is $1,800
If we cancel it before the 5th of next year.
before, yeah, June 5th.
So there's no harm in signing it.
Well, I think Laura's right. Let's make sure there's a, because we're not gonna do it this year and we're not gonna pay $18,000, so.
What we're finding out in the village side is people volunteer to do something and then when they realize
How much work it is.
how much work it is, they don't want to do it, so it falls back on my office.
The people said they wanted the fireworks, though, I'll say.
So.
Let's say that. unfortunately.
And if, you know,
Right,
different
right.
power companies that were, you know, can always have emergency meetings with the sign
Yeah,
contract.
okay.
Yeah, I would have your meeting and see.
See
how
if there's
much
gonna be
interest
people that
there
are
is.
gonna do it.
I think we've made it clear that it's not gonna be the municipal manager's office this year.
Yeah.
That's not on our list of goals and objectives.
Oh, we're gonna do that before we go into executive session.
We have a few
We
things.
have a few more things.
Okay, so we'll
You
hold.
don't care about Bondell?
Oh, that's right. I skipped over that, because I thought we're done.
Yeah.
So we'll go back up top.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
good question, Tom?
Yeah, I can wait until, just before you go into executive session, I just had a couple of quick questions about the marketing discussions for this evening. I can give them to you now, or I can wait until after you're done with the rest of the agenda and before you go into executive session.
Tom, do you want to just email me? I can answer them by tomorrow morning.
Yeah, because I obviously have to turn the article in. It's for this week's issue, so whatever you prefer. They're real quick questions. So if you could address them now, that would be helpful.
It's up to the board, and I'm happy to answer emails.
Okay.
Yeah, why don't you just email them? We still have a lot of things to go through unless you want to wait.
Okay. I will do that. And then Eric, if you could just address them overnight, I'd appreciate it so that I can get things straight in the morning and don't miss anything in the article on the marketing discussion.
Yeah, I'll do it as quickly as I can.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Marketing job description.
So, select board
Select board
procedures first.
Oh, yeah.
So we have kind of, you know, protocols and slides, the agenda, timeline, we've gone over, we have not all that. But I think the reason I haven't done the discussion is because, if we're gonna have these policies, I think the board to also enforce them as well. So when someone comes to a board member, says, I don't get the agenda, and it was their policy, to actually, you know, the way it's that, because we'll tell them, but then we need the support from the board to say, like, you know, this will have to wait, or if it's an emergency, we'll have a float. And we need that support from the board as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree.
So when we get over, you know, any changes, we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah. Good for me. Marketing job description.
Yeah. Oh. We discussed a little bit earlier, the marketing committee, just curious, kind of working under the EDC.
Select board meeting through marketing discussion.
As we kind of transition away from, with the select board having, protocol of the Roman board, Roman.
Economic Community and Development Fund.
There we go, yeah, thank you. Just kind of operating on our own with some direction from me. But I feel it's good to walk through here for the market committee, for the board, kind of talk to her, you know, maybe have a conversation of what you want to see her doing. She can try and kind of fill you in what she has been doing. So we kind of come to a clear guideline of how best to use the skill sets. So just, you want to kind of talk about what you have been doing,
Yeah.
what you like to do, and then my board can go from
Sorry,
there.
I have files down.
Yeah, so, I will say that what the role was described as when I took it and what it is now is very different. It was a very plain and simple digital marketing, do a blog post, do an email, run the Instagram, like that's what the role was. And I expanded it far beyond that because quite frankly, that's what the challenge is. And so all of that, starting from last spring to now, is kind of the culmination of all these things that we've been working on. Obviously, the marketing communications group is a big part of that. Building the new website, which has been taking up a lot of my time. But doing all of these things to create a strong foundation for
a marketing and a robust marketing and communication program, which in my view is not strictly tourism focused, but community focused and centered as well. So day to day, it looks kind of different every day. It really depends. I still do all of the digital marketing, so all of the social media. Eric and I have gone back and forth. There was really no policies or anything in place when I took over this role, which concerns me, particularly since I'm being paid by the town, and I don't want to put the town in any sort of situation. So I don't know if those have been finalized. I really think they should be looked over by an attorney, but just having some policies and procedures in place, particularly around managing digital platforms. So what we're posting on Instagram and Facebook, how we're managing comments, what's going on the website, how we're moderating comments that we're getting on Instagram and Facebook, things like that, what we're posting, what kind of language we're using. So I don't know where that stands, but that's something that I've also been working on. And then a big goal for me is to improve management and communications of our events. I would love to come up with some procedures and protocols for all events townwide so that things look a little more structured and people have some direction and sort of an idea of this is what is expected. If you're going to have an event, here's what you need to know and what you need to do, what you have to have in place. Here's resources that are available to you, and also just maybe some cross collaboration between organizations and events, because I feel like a lot of people, I think there's a lot of like doubling up happening. There's not a lot of resource sharing when there could be. So there's a lot of active done. A lot of these things are being done by volunteers. So any way we can make things easier and more streamlined, I think, would be great. As I mentioned, the website, that's been a pretty big undertaking, which I knew it would be. And I think that will continue to be a big chunk of the work moving forward, because if we really, I think Roger made a lot of really good points. I think our website needs to be a lot more robust. A lot of the things that he mentioned actually are there. You just can't find them. And so that is a big goal with the new website, is making things easier to find, easier to navigate, more streamlined. And then as we move forward, I'm hoping that we can leverage this marketing committee as well to really improve and create a more robust content plan for the website. What else? I mean, I don't want to, I feel like we've been here a long time. I have a lot of ideas about what we could do. I mentioned to Laura some ideas I have for how we could potentially raise some money so that the marketing group could also be kind of paying for things that kind of fall under the purview of marketing that we're finding fun. Like, I know Wassail needs money. I know there's always needing money for lights or Halloween candy or whatever. I think that there's a place for us to help come up with some of that money. And I guess we need to also look at the MOU and how we're going to be sharing funds with the chamber. But I think there's a lot of opportunity to raise additional money to pay for things that kind of fall under our umbrella instead of continuously coming to the town and asking for funds. And again, I kind of hope that maybe that's something we can do as a marketing and communications committee, come up with, okay, here's the things that we want to do to raise money. Here's how we want to sell ads on the website. And I think we need to do that with the chamber as well. But come up with those things and then bring them to you and you can say, yes, this looks good, or no, it needs work. So I'm open to your questions, feedback, thoughts. I think I kept that sort of high level, but.
Just as a reminder, when do you think the website work will be ready to go live?
Yeah, so we wanted to have it go live in late foliage, but because of the Wassail raffle page, we basically have to wait until that's over.
Okay.
Because they don't want to complicate moving that over. So whenever that raffle date ends, which I think is the beginning of November, we will basically launch right after that.
Great. What is the majority of your time spent on right now, and how would you like that to change, and how can we help support that?
I mean, I think one of the biggest challenges for me, particularly when it comes to having better communication for the community, is just the lack of, like, for example, we don't even have a town-wide global events calendar. That is just something we should absolutely have. So it's things like that where, again, I think once we create these things, it will make everyone's lives a lot easier, but we just need to get these things in place so that I'm not sending 15 emails and waiting until 2 weeks before the event to know like what the actual details are.
Yeah.
So, and that also, I think, lends itself to having some maybe a little bit stricter policies and procedures about people who have events and how they're.
Okay, so maybe like as an agent of the town, when we get, or the village gets permit application for an event, we can make sure, like as a next step, to coordinate with our marketing coordinator.
Yeah, but I think to your point, that people can just put anything on the event calendar.
Yeah, but
well, that's a separate thing. And that's not gonna happen.
Right,
now.
that we took care of in the MOU.
And well, and also the new website, there will be a form submission, so people can submit it, but it's not published until I go through it and look at it.
Yeah. But in terms of like the organization piece of it, was that helpful?
Yeah, so yeah, that actually probably would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any more direction from the board that you want?
Want to do fireworks?
No, absolutely not. I literally had nothing to do with it other than post about it, and I got shredded on Twitter. So I was just trying to tell people when they were, and people were not happy with me.
It's all your fault.
I know.
Yeah. Welcome to government.
I planned it. I moved here because I wanted to do the fireworks, and I wanted them to not be on the 4th.
Yeah, and you have a job description or?
We'll work on it.
Okay, yeah.
Probably to fix it a little bit, probably like
Yeah.
there a lot.
Yeah.
Just so.
Well, I know Ray is dying to get on TikTok, so.
So to that point, the reason why I started our handle just to save it, but I spoke to the woman who runs Burlington social media. They are on TikTok, but they are not, they're funded by the chamber up there. And she said all of the state agencies have a strict policy of not being on TikTok.
Oh, interesting.
And I don't know why, but so I said to Eric, like, let's just wait and not just hop on there just because.
But we have the handle in case.
We have it.
Okay. Thank you.
But I want to get more clarity as to why they're not.
Yeah.
It may change when we buy it.
Yeah. It's because it's stolen by China, that's what.
Okay.
And I think when asked Jess to join us, I think
Okay.
that's for the refund.
Yeah. Can we go to executive?
No.
I think we have the word.
You have one down.
Yeah.
Well,
So I can, I guess, update and you can
Yeah.
chime in, Eric. I believe as it stands now, we have 23 acres, 2 parcels, identified up near Grassy Lane that we have told Vermont Land Trust would be exempted from any conservation easement, as well as 10 acres down by the parking area. The 2 parcels up by Grassy Lane have generated a lot of discussion. People feel strongly that those should be part of the conservation easement. The Vermont Land Trust works through Vermont Housing and Conservation Board, VHCB, to get the funding for the grants. And, you know, this is all preliminary and nothing definite, but the grants they're talking about are 200 as exists with all our exemption, and the newest is 550. If we include the two northern exclusions, the 10 and 13 acres by Grassy Lane, we include the 10-acre exclusion, but with an easement allowing that we could develop that for affordable housing. There is an individual in town who wants to raise money in addition to what we could get from the grants. We right now have like no target for him. And I think Wamba has reached out too, saying, you know, we would be interested in helping, but we need to know what you're talking about. So I think as a select board, we need to say, you know, if we conserve if we exempt these parcels and we only get 200 from VHCB, we want you to raise X amount for us to even consider conserving the other acreage. Or if we decide not to conserve the parcels as outlined in the larger grant, we need you to raise X amount. So we need to have a price tag, because otherwise we're sending someone out to fundraise with, you know, with what could be a moving target. And I think it helps him with the fundraising to say, look, if I raise X amount, that 23 acres will be forever conserved. So I know it's not up for a vote tonight, but the grant has now been postponed to December. I would strongly suggest we vote on it in October. I think maybe getting some public outreach would be good, because, you know, we had a lot of discussions about Vondel before people voted that they wanted us to buy it. So I think we need to, I don't know if we have coffees, or obviously Byron is the only one left in the room, and I'm not sure if anybody on Zoom is here for this particular topic, but I think we need to make a decision. This has been kind of dragging on about what number are we looking for to conserve this property, and and then authorize the individual. He does have somebody who has talked about a 6-figure donation if we conserved the 23 acres. So there is potential out there. My guess is if we continue to exclude that acreage, there's probably not as much fundraising leverage.
23 acres buildable?
A lot of the land is probably not buildable today. What we try to do internally was carve outs. You know, I think originally the stuff where they carve out a certain amount of acreage for exclusions. We tried to match that total amount where we thought building would be most likely. But like right now, I don't think we built anything on there. I think.
Yeah, it's come down.
That's great. You want that's
sorry.
No, that's a good
Yep.
question.
Yeah,
I thought it was 750,000 to start.
That's what we were told, yes.
we were told that by the land trust, and then
Yeah.
VHCB. Last week it was only 400, so it's come up 150 in a week of what they're talking about.
But they want us to exclude or conserve.
Yeah.
We wanted to exclude.
We want all of it,
Right.
but we paid $1.6 million for.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you know, I don't think anybody thought when we bought it that was going to be a highly developable parcel.
No.
You know, but most
No,
of
it
it is
just
wet.
gave us some money if we want to sell
Exactly.
something.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, and Susan, thank you so much for continuing this conversation, because I know it's a lot of things to coordinate with various parties. I think the question for the community, because I think the original solution worked just because it achieved multiple things at once. We said we were going to prioritize having access to a water source, prioritizing recreation, and then also giving the town flexibility in the future as a landowner. I think I think my concern with a new lower price, and more exclusions, even though it's not developable now, is that the conservation easement is forever. And so I think it's important when we talk to the community that they understand that they're trading any option in the future, any decision in the future for what we do with that land. For this amount of money, which is significantly less than what we bonded it for.
Well,
And
and I don't think anyone's suggesting we limit it to this amount of money. I think what we're saying, I mean, we could say we want 1.8, go
Yeah.
fundraise the balance. You know,
Yeah,
that's where I'm getting at
totally.
is there's a price at which we say
That's worth it to us.
it's
Yeah.
worth it to us.
Yeah, totally. Okay, I just think I really want to highlight for people that that's what this conservation would mean. And I think we as a board have also talked about in the past, you know, how much time and work we spend kind of, I guess, digging ourselves out of holes that previous generations of Woodstockers maybe have accidentally or inadvertently dug. And I would really hate for us to, yeah, I just think it's really important that people understand that a trust is forever, and kind of what that means in terms of us as a landowner. Is there any, besides the grant being in December, is there any reason we couldn't go back to the land trust like next year or the year after if we wanted to, if we decided to conserve like later? Or it would just be a matter of the fundraising?
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, my concern would be, I went to a fundraiser for the Connecticut River Conservancy, and they're worried with federal cuts in all areas, that donated money is going to start going, you know, people who maybe gave to land conservation may start be giving to food banks and other areas where the federal government is cutting. So, you know, I worry a little bit about that climate as well as their funding.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm just throwing that out there that I don't think the donation or the nonprofit picture is going to improve in a year.
Yeah. Well, I think to Greg's point, the original offer I felt was, which was $750,000. Now with the carve out, I mean, I think we should, my instinct is that we should start higher, but I think we should wait to have public feedback.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I want 750 back.
You have that guy's email.
Okay.
And again, I think that was the land trust saying, this is what we applied for, this is what we're hoping to get, and then the HCD.
I mean, at this point, I'm not so concerned about having land to sell, my own personal opinion. If it's all going to be conserved, if we can all use it the way it has been. If we could get more money.
Yeah.
I would be concerned that if the day ever comes that we have to put a pumping station down at that end of the reservoir, we have someplace to put it.
Well, I think
why
the
it was
conservation
carved out
easement
when we
would,
Yeah,
but I also think the conservation easement would make, you know, we would be involved in that drafting to make sure that any future water needs are exempted. So,
Yeah, I think it's very perfect opportunity of like money now or
Control later.
or
Right.
now, yeah.
Exactly.
We'll go about that, yeah. So maybe the chair and I can talk tomorrow about setting up some public forums. Yep. Yeah, you wanna go in,
I guess the legal.
I had it up and then I lost it. So it's the appointment or appointment or evaluation of public officer or employee.
What number?
It's under B.
Labor relations agreement with employees?
No. Yeah, that's number 3.5.
I'll consider a motion to enter an executive session under 1 BSA 313 to discuss the appointment of, or evaluation of public officer or employee, provided that the public body shall make a final decision to hire and appoint a public officer or employee in an open meeting and shall explain the reasons for its final decision during the open meeting. Your motion?
So moved.
For a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, like a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
For a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Like a motion to appoint,
I would move, we appoint Carol Wood, to the South Woodstock Design Review Committee.
is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. I move, we appoint Michael Green to the Investment Advisory Committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I move, we appoint Greta Calabri, Roger Logan, John Steinley, and Dimitri Kim to the Marketing Committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're going to
Table the minutes.
table the minutes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
There's a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.
Woo-hoo.